All right, guys, so we're moving forward to this engine for the 996, the red 996. We got it out. It is sitting behind me on the floor here. And what we're gonna do is start disassembling this thing. Okay, so they're just sitting flat on the cart. So by all calculations, get off there. What the hell? There you are. There you are. I feel like I always spend all this time trying to pick up transmissions that are too heavy. All right, so let's go zip this bad boy apart. Had to change the little microphone action on the camera because of course it was dead. Try to do it with the torque spit right out of the gate. Actually, these are Torx. These are their Allen, so maybe it has been replaced. Sachs clutch on it, which is also the factory. All right. All right, it all came loose. This clutch has attracted a lot of, come on, a lot of moisture. I'll set myself in the face. There we go. Is a new clutch. That clutch is totally gone. There's no lines at all on it. It's totally shot. 9 of 1998. That, my friends, is a factory clutch that's seen some pretty hardcore abuse. Well, I don't know, 60,000 miles on a clutch, about all the better you can really ask for. Ooh. The backer plate doesn't feel that good. That probably needs to be replaced. While we're doing it, throwout bearing is actually, or the pilot bearing is actually good. Throwout bearing is not very good at all. So we definitely need a clutch. So we need to go on and take off the flex plate, and that'll let us see the rear main. This thing's dirty. And in fact, we'll actually go ahead and do that now on the video and show you guys, see if the rear main's leaking or not. All right, this is a T55. Let me go ahead and take this smaller one off of here. Let's go and blast this off here. I'm curious to see how it's gonna look behind this. I actually smoked my bigger Makita impact. I got the smaller one, but it's still pretty rowdy. All right, so let's see. All right. We have no leakage in here at all. IMS bearing has not been touched. Will we go ahead and put a new rear main seal in this? Probably. Usually comes in the gasket kit. It's like someone's got a hammer on the case up here. What's that? What is that? Why is that like that? Got a little scarring on the case. Got a little, I'll call white rust there in that little pocket. IMS. Mr. IMS. We'll take the cover off that. We'll have to take a part number off of that and try to date that bad boy and see what time and year that thing is. Looks like it's probably factory. Okay, so what we're gonna start off by doing here, and we're not gonna film this because we just made a video on this. We're gonna go and pull the throttle body off, the 4 bolts in that, the coolant line that goes to the top of it. We're gonna go and pull the intakes and the rubber cross boots off. Get all that off to start with. We're gonna have to tear this engine down pretty good, and it's not an easy engine to tear down. After the intakes are off, we're gonna have to go and take some accessories off and fuel injection. Just try to tear it from the top down. We need to get far enough where we could then undo the timing chain tensioners and the rest of it. So let's get started. Okay, so let's go and lift the whole thing off. When we lift it off, we're gonna have the 2 vacuum lines in the back of this boot we gotta take off. In fact, let's go back here right now. 1 and 2. Can we just pick this thing up all in one go? Yes, sir. I'll pull that off of there, and then we're off with the intake. We'll stack everything on our cart accordingly. And then next up, what we'll do, so I don't forget, we'll take pictures of this with my phone. So when we go put it back together, it's not a big deal. And then we will have to pull off next the AC compressor, the power steering pump, and the alternator to prep for that. We probably wouldn't have to pull it off, but let's see how it goes here. Okay, so here we are. We just took the wiring harness off. I'm getting ready to lift the injection rack off. And a lot of you guys are, in the last comments, last video, I've been getting notifications for it, saying it's always the engine, it's always the engine. It's not always the engine mixing the coolant water, the coolant oil. It's not. Most of the time, it's actually the oil air separator or this, and we just did a car that it was that. So I don't know. You see all these crazy comments, and it's just like, what are you even doing? So what we're gonna have to do here, we're gonna have to snake out this guy. There's a hard secondary air pipe here. We may just take the dipstick off and take it off. No, we gotta go ahead and do it. Can I pinch that without breaking anything? What we don't want to do is break anything because everything's very expensive on this. So yeah, I don't know. We see all kinds in the comment section here, boys, and that's fine. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. Is it always fact in the way it is? No, it's not. I'm sorry. It's not. There we go. There's the injection rack. All off of there. We're just gonna set this over on our cart over here. Out of the way, knock the screwdriver off. Why not? And then we'll go back and take the intake gaskets off. And we'll put these over here. Our exhaust gaskets. The biggest thing about this deal is keep everything separated, everything pristine shape, everything's together. So there's that. We're gonna leave the power steering pump on, I think. Haven't decided yet. If it's not gonna drip all over the floor, which it probably will, we'll leave it there. And at this point in time, looking down the cylinders, everything looks pretty normal, actually. A little bit of carbon. I mean, not bad. The valves are clean. So next up, we're going to pull off the cages for the exhaust off each side. We need to pull out the timing chain tensioners and that business. I tell you what, let's go ahead and take off this guy. I think if we don't take this off, this is going to be leaking on my floor nonstop, I'm pretty sure. So let's do that now. Okay, so before we go any further, let's go ahead and vac off the top of this engine. There is a bunch of dirt, nuts, miscellaneous debris, and we don't want anything to do with that at all. So let's go ahead and hit that real quick. The wet dry vac. Okay. So that's done. So let's pull these cages off for the exhaust, the covers off for the coil packs, the coils out, and then we're going to go ahead and flip the engine up on its end. We'll take timing chain tensioners, and then we're going to start taking the cylinder head off. Okay. So first things first, we got to mark this. Now this is up, and this is driver's side, because those are different. Now they are marked, but in lieu of saving us from having to stop what we're doing, go look that up again. Remember in the last one, it had to be just a certain way. This is the oil scavenge pump. And then we'll save these bolts in my hand here 1 second. Let's go ahead and pop this off. It might leak all over the floor. There's a scavenge pump right there. You can see a little bit of the gravy in it. Let me walk right in front of the camera. And then what we'll do is we'll put these back in here. The O-ring is stuck to the cylinder head. I'm going to pull that off here in 1 second. Because if you don't, you're going to pull it in half when you go to take that off. There we go. Now all this will come with all new everything. We have to have a gasket kit for this one. This is one engine you cannot take apart without having all the gaskets. What's going to happen, this engine lays flat, so it's going to leak, right? It has to use the right gasket sealer. All this stuff has to be done up right. So with that being said, I think we can leave this in. I do not remember. Let's see. Let's just gingerly. I don't think. What was the deal? What was the deal? Can't remember. Can't remember. And I believe that will lift out. So find your pry tab points right here on the edge. This may not be the tool to use. There it is. I don't remember. It's kind of an awkward setup. You have to go like this, like that. And then back to this. And then this is coming off as we're prying it apart. And you find the dead blow, we need to tap this just a little bit, okay? So we just took our little collar off of here, just threaded the bolts back in, popped it with the rubber mallet a couple times, and she's off. Now, before we could do anything else, look at that. Little goo in there. All the bearings look perfect in it, all the cam bearings. And that is rare for this. Now, it's important to note, these do not have valve cover gaskets. This uses that Loctite 5900, 5100, 5900. There's a certain sealer you have to use for this. Let's go in here and just kind of look at things here. Set that back out of the way. Everything looks totally fine, no issues. One guy said, oh, the bearing's gonna be shot. Well, I don't think it's ever been an issue. So next up, what we gotta do is we need to, first of all, pull those out so we don't lose them. There's one stuck in the valve cover, and the front two are just pulled. And then we need to undo the timing chain tensioners on this one. And I guess that'll be next. And this one also has, where were they at? Right here is a big Torx cover. We're gonna take the Torx cover off. That releases the timing chain guide. And then we'll essentially take these 4 bolts off. And I think on this one, yeah, so it has the whole cradle. We'll have to do that. This one we can leave in here, chain only. We'll take the cams out. We'll set those in the valve cover. There's a whole cradle that comes out, and then we'll go ahead and take out the head bolts, and there's little head bolts in the front, up here in the front. And it shouldn't be that long, and we should have this side off. Now, like I said, we're gonna have to get some clear notification of what's going on here. Either way, the heads will probably have to go to the machine shop. If we see one that's clearly broken, clearly cracked, either it has to be welded, which I'm not sure about that service, or we have to get another head. And our tensioner is right here. 32 mil wrench. Just that easy. These tensioners should have the updated ones. We'll see how available that is. Because these can fail, and there's a bolting out on it and cause an issue. Is it as likely? No, it's not as likely, but I mean, it's possible. And especially when it's not my car, we don't want to take any chances. So we'll see if those are available. Oh, you nasty ass thing. There we go. That purge out in the valve cover. Next up is going to be our timing chain guide anchor bolt there. Let's go and do that next. So let's go ahead and break this loose. I'll show you how this looks. That's pretty damn loose. I think somebody's had that out. That was basically finger tight, which is scary. Okay, and there's how that looks, just like that. That goes through the timing chain guide, and now we have some slack in there. We're going to set this over here on our cart, and we will reinstall that after we get this all out of there. And then I think next up we are, what is that, 10 mil the way it looks? A rag, let's go ahead and pull that. And then, I don't know if that's gonna do that. Let's see, let's just see. Yep. Let's go ahead and pull this totally off with the little power ratchet, and then the timing chain will be done. If you notice on the gear how the has a little notch in it, like so. That oil pump goes into that notch, the scavenge pump, and that's the drive for it. There we go. And let's go up here. We're just gonna pull this off like that. And now we're released from that. Now we gotta take the cams and everything out. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So we just took out these bolts here. Let's go ahead and pop these cams up and out of here. Jesus, Jesus. Those ledge caps are on little pins, little dowels. So you gotta pop them off of there without actually hurting anything. Okay. It just takes slightly more than you can do with your finger. Grab this in one go, there it is. I'm just gonna set it right down the valve cover. And that's gonna expose us access to all the bolts that hold the cradle and the lifters in. I loosened that up a while ago. All right, so let's see if we could grab this up out of here like so. Hold like that. Now, pre-2001, the head bolts are reusable. They're not stretch bolts. So to start off with here, When you pull this tin out, this is like a little metal, little tin cover that covers the guide. That's gonna come out. We can now go ahead and pull this guy here out. We're gonna set him over. We'll set him on the case here where it goes, around the front of the cam nose. And we'll finger those bolts back in there at some point. So let's go ahead and get our breaker bar, break all these loose, take our tin out here. I believe there was there a couple down inside, or were these, there was probably one under there, a couple in the front. So let's just get it sorted out. All right, boys, it's showtime. It's showtime. I think we got everything off. I'm gonna have to, one more once over. We got 3 bolts on the external, 1 bolt on the internal. Good thing I put a bucket there because it's pissing over the floor. And basically what we're gonna do is take this, a little bit of that action. And we got a pan set up on the floor. We're just gonna go and flip it into our metal pan. And then get a rag, touch the camera with my greasy hand. We're gonna zoom in, something like that. And then let's see if we could see any issue before we can take the gasket off. First look, the gasket looks pristine. Is there anything blowing in here? No. No, 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 no. Obviously what we need to do is take a Brillo pad and clean it up a little bit, but I don't see any issue one bit. So it's gonna be between the oil passage, it'll be between oil and coolant. That's all coolant. That's a head bolt hole. Yeah, I mean, no problems with this one. So let's go ahead and go up to the block. Let's take a look at the block, see if that side is all good. And we'll do a little bit of that. This side looks perfect. I don't see any issue, any one bit whatsoever anywhere in there. From what I can see, there's a little bit of scratching there on that. Let's get a, we still have full compression on this side. Well, before we quit on this, we'll flip it over, we'll check for bore scoring on everything. And yeah, so far, everything looks perfect. So either it has to be the other side or we got bigger issues. Okay, so there's a few things in here we need to address. So one, the lifter girdle on the floor there, all the bolts in that were finger tight. All right, somebody's been in here. And also, let me go over here to the engine itself. There it is. Over here in this, where are we at? Whoop, right there in that spark plug hole, somebody has a gasket sealer on that, and they had gasket sealer on the lifter cradles, my friends. Gasket sealer does not go on lifter cradles, and it's gray silicone. Also, this pump right here, the oil pump, you can see right here, has gray gasket sealer around it. Huh, that's interesting. Somebody's been in here. The head bolts on the other side, in my opinion, didn't feel like they were quite what they should be. This side, 2 of them are crazy tight and the rest are pretty loose. Now, who's done it? I don't know. I'm not judging anybody on here. I don't know anything about the situation, but somebody's been in this engine before. Was it the dealership? Was it the dealership putting lifters in it? Was it ticking? You know, there's variations to this here. Did they go in there and crank the head bolts while they're there? I don't know why, how or why they would do that. You can get to the valve cover in this car if you drop the engine down far enough, possibly. I never tried that. I mean, maybe you can. I think you can, right? So we pulled the tensioner out, we pulled the cams out, the cradle out, we pulled all the 3 little bolts in the front of the head. There's 2 outside and 1 inside, and we pulled the head bolts out. And what we need to do, let me see if I could. There we go. Head gasket looks good at first glance. Let me get a rag before we even take it off. We're just going to take a look as we go here. Yep, no head gasket issue at all. Huh. So I don't see any zero indication of cracks. I mean, like what's leaking, it was leaking pretty good because it put about 1.5 quarts of coolant in the oil overnight. Somebody's been in here. Somebody's cleaned this head before. You can see it has brush marks in it. I'm pretty sure the people that owns it are the original owners. All right. Let's just see if anything's obviously wrong. Like obviously crooked, warped. No? No? Okay. Well, let's do this. This video is getting to be 10 hours long. Let me walk right in front of the camera like an amateur. So I straight edge both heads in the block. I don't see anything wrong with anything. However, we'll make another video. We'll clean everything up. We'll get in there with the camera right onto it. We'll go over everything. That'll be the next video. We'll shoot that probably tomorrow. So this is Monday. This video should probably be out Tuesday, which should be tomorrow. And we'll post this. We need to write a list up of everything we need at this point. Whether we can find anything wrong or not with these heads, they have to go to the machine shop and get MagnaFlux, and they have to be checked properly. I can tell you right now, a quick pass by the metal straight edge, there's nothing wrong with them warped-wise, but we could have an internal crack that you just can't see. I don't know. I think somebody's been in it before on this side. I think that is the issue. Having two or three head bolts way over tight. I could barely break them loose. The next ones were loose. Like the whole back part of the head was just loose. I don't think that's a natural situation, or I think that was leaking past the gasket at some point, somewhere. But we'll see. That's going to be it, guys. Thanks for watching today's video. Stay tuned. Again, probably tomorrow with the follow-up on this situation. See you later.